So, obviously, Sunday was a day to reflect back on what we did, offense, defense, special teams after a win, right? So I think the teaching moments are so much better after a win than they are after a loss. Just a little bit bigger ears, more open eyes, a lot of different things for our guys to learn. I thought they handled that very, very well. We honored the guys that did. Obviously, today we're still learning of different awards, so I thought I'd give you guys a little tidbit. One of the things we want to do going to Penn State, we wanted everybody to be in a certain look: orange hat, white jerseys, orange pants, and blue gloves. And before the game, I made a point about that in our program. All offensive skill players, if you're going to handle the football, you don't wear sleeves, right? I knew it was getting a little bit colder out there. Guys that wear sleeves have a tendency to make the ball a little bit more susceptible to come out or be a little bit slick. We actually had a player Thursday during practice that was running a kickoff return as a look team player, and he had the sleeves on. He's a little Florida-born player, and he hit a nice run, nice KOR return, and he was down the sideline just running. All of a sudden, the ball just squirted out of his hands. So I took that play clip and showed it to him on Friday, explaining why we have this rule, right? I've been in this business a long time. I've been in some cold weather games. I was in the NFL. I saw two organizations that had the same rule. If you're an offensive player, you don't wear sleeves. The reason we wear blue gloves is to match the jerseys of an opponent we might be playing that has a blue jersey on, right? So it all makes sense. Come up before the game, and George McDonald comes to me and says, Coach, Casey Washington doesn't want to wear blue gloves. I look at Casey and I said, why is that? He's like, Coach, I didn't get in time to break him in. I really want to wear my white gloves. And those of you that have talked to Casey in moments of anxiety, he's looking very deep into your soul, right? So I got Coach McDonald, who's kind of an authoritarian type receiving coach. He's upset that the blue gloves aren't on. We're moments before kickoff. I got to make an administrative decision to the moment. So I looked at Casey and I said, you need the white gloves? He said, Coach, I need the white gloves. Obviously, 60 minutes later at 9 overtimes, I'm glad I gave him the white gloves. Those gloves are now being shipped to the College Football Hall of Fame. After the game, they wanted some memorabilia. Right after the game, Bret came up to me and said, hey, College Football Hall of Fame would like some things from the game. They wanted my hat. I wear the family hat before the game. Sometimes I wear it home after the game. I'm like, they didn't get my damn hat. I love that hat. It's been with us since our first recruiting visit. It means a lot to me, so it kind of has a small purpose. But I do got a pair of white gloves that we'll use. Famous white gloves. No one knew that story but me at that time. So white gloves now have in case you get a pair of gloves, they'll probably be blue. Really excited about this. That we do is continue to take this program forward. I think the important part on Saturday, obviously, to have the forwards and all in, but I really do believe that guys, I challenged the guys all week for the 74 players on that plane. The coaches that were there with us, the support staff that we were over there wanted to win football. We're not going to win the game, and I don't think anybody on that sideline, at least on our sideline, was surprised by the result. So was emphatic about that. We had faith for nine overtimes to replace an offensive tackle who, in my opinion, is probably one of the better players in this league. To replace a running back that went over the course of the game, to a quarterback that down during the overtime, to have a quarterback to come back off the bench for the game-winning defense that played with linebackers who first game today have been removed into those roles. The law firm of Newton and Randolph, the way they played, was just incredible for their extension hands, and they actually gave him under just set out there. The Rutgers, I gave the bed a little bit early. Wanted to move that behind for two reasons. First, a lot of for big. I also wanted to put it behind him because there's been a great amount of success over a period of time. These guys have learned that expectation is what happened, not the right. Like did your job. Plus 4. We put that really quickly tonight. Into obviously 3. One first game is first dawn big again. Unfortunately, they weren't able to have success with a victory, but give their program an coach well. He's tried to some on the ball. I know that's not the numbers they wanted, but you see the emphasis on it there in the throw game defensively. The defense coordinator and I have worked together a long time. I've worked with Greg at the New England Patriots, so I know a lot of coaches, Bob, on their staff. Know a lot of players and coaches. A lot of coaches on that staff that I've either worked with or around my entire coaching career. So a lot of close ties. I'm excited about the opportunity and really excited to get back here in Memorial. Everybody is trying to find different ways to get them here. I'm just going to make it emphatic. I'd love to have as many people in Memorial as we possibly can get. I think our guys feed off the emotion, especially that student section. The way they've showed up every time has been a big part of it. I think we played well at home. And I know that last game at homecoming wasn't the way we wanted, but I promise you we're a team that's getting better every week, and you're going to enjoy watching us play. So with that, open up for questions.
Coach, what does a win like that against a top 10 team mean for you as a first-year coach? What's it mean for the program? And then what's it mean from a recruiting standpoint?
Yeah, I get it. They're all, all wins matter, especially when you're trying to get to a point of relevancy. I do think that to be on the road to play against Penn State, I know how tough it is to win there. We talked all week about it. Really wasn't any team from our past or their past that was going to show up on Saturday. It was about the 11 on 11 at any given time. So it's all positive. And in today's world, right, if anything we learned coming out of this monumental press conference last Monday, right, perception is reality. And in today's world, I think you have to grasp anything that's a positive thing can be hugely beneficial for not just in your program with your players, but in recruiting. But I will tell you this, and I just had Taz and Spoon just came in my office. So 2 very entertaining, enlightening corners came in, and they just, Coach, we just want to see how you're doing, right? So they sat down, and I explained to them that although Saturday was a great thing for them, it was a great thing for our program. What I was happy for is, like, I haven't been able to meet Spoon's family. I haven't been able to meet Taz's family. But my guy says when they were able to call home to them, they were very excited. Like, as a father now, even though it's 2 small girls, one of the great things I have comfort in is when you can make them feel good with things that you can't buy for them, right? Things that you can provide for them. And when you can't, when they have to do it on their own, there's nothing more fulfilling than that moment. And I think that there's probably a lot of happy families with the way that the kids played and the outcome of that game more than anybody. And that's one part. That's one group that I was happy for.
Right, but all the scheming but all the talk of the schemes and things you did and the execution, what role did willpower and emotion have in that win? Aside from X's and O's.
I get it. I understand the question. Like I told those guys, you're going to have an offensive plan, a defensive plan, and a special teams plan. Going to that bye week, I thought Wednesday during our bye week was probably one of the most intense, better practices we've ever had since I've been here. So I think they just keep chopping wood. They keep just doing the things that we've asked them to do. They're very, very engaged with their coaches, without a doubt across the board. Anytime we give position meeting time to our players and our coaches, it seems to be very beneficial, individual time. So the game of emotion is also very, very big on game day, but it's more of a reflection that Saturday was what we see every day in this program. Yes, okay. So a couple injury updates. Art, unfortunately, did break his arm. We'll actually have surgery, I think, tomorrow. I'm sorry, today's Monday. Wednesday, he'll have that, so he'll be done for the year in that regards. But something that'll be even come to a shock to probably about 99% of our team. Asked Art to share this. So when Art first got here, as he began to go through things, you began to see that maybe he wasn't throwing the ball as effectively as he maybe thought he was at one point and did. And so it was brought to our attention that he was in need of a shoulder surgery at some point. He rehabbed it, did everything he possibly could do to get to the beginning of the season, but we knew at some point he was going to have to undergo surgery. It would take about 6 to 7 month recovery process. It was an injury that he sustained before he ever came here, and just give a tremendous. I can't tell you how proud I am of that kid, what he did to come in the way he did in Nebraska, to come in, do what he did, and hold us to wins, and obviously all the way down to that final play the other day, knowing that he isn't, whatever percentage it is, it's not anywhere close to 100%. So the struggle that I had, that we sat down during the first bye week, was when do we have this procedure? When do we get it done? Knowing that it was going to be a 6 month, 6 to 8 month procedure. When do we do this that lets him maximize his opportunity this season, but also gets him ready for next season? And so he and I kind of come to the conclusion we would make a discussion during the first bye week, which we got through. We were going to wait until the second bye week and ultimately make a decision if we did do it during the second week, if we would do it, first, second, 1 or 2 weeks remaining in the season, just so he could maximize his recovery time. So sometimes blessings come in the most unusual ways, but now with this surgery getting done on his left hand, as soon as that gets healed up enough, hopefully in about 2 to 4 weeks, then he'll have surgery on his right shoulder. Unfortunately, it'll knock him out of spring football, but he'll be back hopefully engaged with us full time for the fall. So teammates he didn't want to have anybody aware of that, or he just wasn't as good as he possibly can. To get him 100% throwing, that's what we have to do. So that's the challenge we'll have. Chase Brown, after his injury on Saturday, has already passed all of the tests that he needed to pass. He's actually biking today. Tomorrow he'll be in practice. No contact. Wednesday he'll be able to receive contact and should be good to go. Cleared Wednesday afternoon. Thursday, if all progresses normal, he'll be good to go. Vidarian Lowe was very, very good Saturday night after the flight back. Sunday looked well. He's progressing in the right direction. I think he'll be with us on Saturday. If not, it shouldn't be any much more than that week. And really everybody else, other than a few normal bumps and bruises, and guys played 100 snaps on offense. It's kind of tale of two cities, right? Usually your snaps marry one another, and the defensive guys had almost 35 in case, sometimes 40 less snaps than the other side of the ball. So kind of adjust practice as we look at it this week to kind of fit that as well.
Greg, around this, some positional changes coming out of the bye, swapping for a patch or just what goes into a decision like that, and do you think it will work, and how it had so much success on that?
Yeah, great. So I think one of the things that I've always prided myself on as a head coach is try to put your players in the best position to be successful. And Powell has been very impressive since I've got here about the basic core concepts and fundamentals of what an offensive lineman has. Happened and get more space, more speed, and more edge. So it's completely two different things. And to have the bye week in there was, I knew, was the only chance we had to do it.
Coach, you talk a lot about how smart, dependable in your players and like that. How much does Art Zukowski's willingness to not tell his teammates about his shoulder define being dependable when you're tough inside of your program?
Probably one of the most rewarding things you can do as a coach is to know your players, right? So I knew Art Zukowski from a couple clips that I saw him on film, from reading some articles about him, from having other people tell me about him, right? Chris Ash, who's one of my best friends, reached out to me and he recruited Art personally. And then the first phone call I had was, like, I don't know if I just talked to Art or his dad or his grandpa. I just talked to somebody who was very mature, right? Like, I knew that. And then just to be around him on a daily basis, his presence, the players love just his communication skills, but he's a very selfless person. He's all about the team. And it's what he wanted. It's what he wished. I even told him at the time, if that's something he wanted to do the surgery right then, I'm capable. Like, this is about making you the best you. Coach, I want to get surgery, right? And he just chose to keep his head down and grit. And then I think this week especially, right? Like I know you guys are aware of it. This game means a lot to him, right? Like because of who he is and what he represents. The outside world is going to think, oh, I feel bad for Art Sikowski because he didn't get to play against Rutgers. If we were playing reversed order, right? Like if we were playing Minnesota this week and Rutgers next week, he would be as equally devastated to not play against Minnesota. Rutgers has nothing to do with it. He enjoys the spirit of the game. He enjoys the spirit and the intensity of what it means to play the game. And that's what. So when we moved in, I wanted to give us the best options outside. So that meant moving Pill to the tackle position. And to his credit, he worked primarily at right tackle because him and Pill would Pill over at right tackle, move over left tackle to get some reps. We forbid, I don't mean to say that, right? We don't have the numbers that we need to have at the so to conduct practice, so we kind of had bodies left. He knew right away. Like there was an instant rally around him. Jared Sally got jumped into the bars package, right, because of that, and Blake went in and was absolutely phenomenal from bars to field goal protection. Those last couple kicks, if we don't execute them, we don't have a chance to get to the ninth overtime, and they were running right over the guard tackle gap, and Blake and Verdis Brown of all people, right? Like we lose Velo, and now Verdis, who's now on offense as an inside nose tackle, goes in and plays tackle on field goal protection and doesn't miss a beat. As coaches, whenever you have one institution, it affects everything in the bigger picture. And I remember playing offensive assistant when we scored our first touchdown after he went down. I remember Reggie going, "Hey, Verdis on field goal," and I turned around, and as I was turning, I saw a wide body running in front of me. I didn't have to say anything, and he was already running out there. Like he was wired into that. And that's what we talk about all the time. That's probably why when we were flying out on Friday, I told our players, when we have success tomorrow, don't be shocked, right? And I've said that to a couple times this year because I could see and feel and understand what was happening in our building, and the result was what you saw on Saturday.
Correct. In 2021, we had 9 people on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
This is very different. What is the impetus behind that? And what can it be moving forward for you guys? And how big of a part of it?
Yeah, so that formation is something I've used in the past at different spots I've been to. During the bye week, I just felt there were some things we needed to do to our personnel, kind of what we do best, and that's why we went to it. It's something that gets 7 linemen on the field. It gives our chance for some of our wideouts to get a breather. I think it's a unique aspect because defensively it puts you in a decision if you want to sub people or how you want to play it. I knew in this first game there'd be a certain like I kept saying, like, listen, you don't know how they're going to line up. I don't know they don't know how they're going to line up because they haven't seen it, right? So there's that element to it, but I think it just gives a demeanor to our guys. You can see it if you read our guys in the media, right, like they're definitely loving the comments, and I think that's the part as a head coach I'm always trying to engage. Just like this week, you try to engage, a guy like Carlos Sandy, who's just kind of continued to jump out to me, like any way we can engage him. Isaiah Williams, the more he touches the ball, the better we're going to be. Casey Washington to come up with that catch. I love to show social media clips, or Pat Pearson takes pictures all day long. And so that week I had shown a picture of Miles Scott making a catch at practice, and if this is the ball, he's like literally got his triangle going. He's catching the ball with his eyes just as much as he is with his hands. And Miles has been one of the most productive players in our practices. And I showed that clip, and all the guys were like, I'm like, is there any doubt that you see what I see? Because practice habits become game day reality, and that's kind of the morphosis of what you're saying to that formation. I saw a lot of offensive linemen trying to get out the field, and it gave them an opportunity to do that, and hopefully it continues to work.
How much does identity matter? How much how that? Because
said you guys running the football defense has been sound. Feels like you've built that last 5 years.
Yeah.
You did wins that.
I did stress, it may sound silly to you guys, right? But like when we do team meals, and we travel on Friday and Saturdays, we'll always say a prayer. So Isaiah Williams will give a blessing, or Coach Henry will give a blessing, and then they all sit down. And then because I don't want to have 100 or 75 people rush the chow line, I excuse them by groups, right? So everybody's always so if Isaiah does really well at his prayer, which we usually do, I'd say, hey, wide receivers, get to go eat, right? But I mean, they're the littlest people in the room. They're probably the least hungry. So like on Friday night at our team meal, I specifically remember saying O-line, D-line first, and everybody kind of laughed, and they all good. I said, the game's going to be on. That's what I said. Game. You know, he threw one. Williams, Deuce Spann, like there's been a lot of guys that play quarterback in our system, Matt Robinson. So I think the more you have a position, the better you are. I think each one of them carries a little bit different brand of football, especially Deuce. I've been playing a little bit of wide receiver for us, but I like what he brings in the game. Anything that we can do to continue to build that position, the better we'll be.
Is there any thought for like an emergency situation, getting out of there, or practice snaps or quarterback, or is that?
Not so much. I think Isaiah, obviously, the growth he's had at wide receiver, game well. It's RJ. Fact. Great question. And I think, really because the way, like I've gotten that question a lot about the overtimes, the way that the game laid out when he got hurt, obviously ours was down for a while, right? Because they were getting the air cast over there and had a lot of little BP. I immediately rated over, hey, get BP rolling. Let's get him taking snaps. Let's get him throwing because he had been sitting there throughout the game. But he's also played a lot of football too. So sometimes it's not when you're in there, your use is good. Between series, was going bigger than a normal two. Longest transition. Occasion away when they were two and overtime was we should probably just stay on one end. I think he was able to process the moment, and he understood all of those plays really before they were run. Like he literally already knows either in a game or in a practice situation.
I saw Sidney with the club on his hand. Is that a long-term thing he'll be dealing with?
Yeah, I think 4 weeks. Setting a record for games played in the club in fall. He got just it was the other hand, I guess. But yeah, it's a non-surgical issue. He had a little bit of freedom. They're trying to shimmy it down just a little bit. But I know he had to go full club for this game. I get less as it goes on, but it really didn't have a factor in his play. Yeah. and they put up the so this one was the longest, and won all three. I'm going to make that little asterisk as well. Unfortunately, we've got a lot of experience at it, and we've done fairly well.
I know we talked about your history finding Josh McCray and that recruiting process,
Mhm.
but for a freshman to come in and do what you did at Penn State, and then for you, is that something you saw film like, hey, this kid might be that freshman for you, or is his timeline accelerated? I mean, it's just, what you expected where he's at?
Yeah, well, it was easy when you watch film on Josh. Like, he runs angry, right? Like, he's not an angry person. You meet him, he's like a very nice demeanor, but the kids call it shoulder roll. Like, I didn't know what was going on. But like, when he gets used, he starts pulling the shoulders a little bit. Shoulder roll, anytime you see that happening, usually a good sign. That's when he's really gassed, ready to rock and roll. Feet off him, know what it's almost a home run hit, you know, because he kind of a quiet. But other than that, he's usually a pretty reserved, good demeanor. So I think those two both are quiet kids individually, two totally different personalities that come out on the football field.
Is there something you're getting at that the rest of those guys just don't have the ability to do, especially when you want to get to go to school?
You know, Luke and DJ are kind of contrast. They're yin and yang at tight end, right? But Luke is kind of a blend of both. I think Luke is very dependable, reliable. He can play all three positions, as well as, you know, Marquez, we actually started running 21 formations where he was at fullback. So Luke's kind of the backup at that role, as well as Kanena Udalaga played at that position as well. So that was one of the position switches we made. We didn't play Kanena on Saturday because he's got 3 games under his belt. We want to make sure that the fourth one is the right one. We're not sure if we want to fight Bernie yet, kind of see how he's handled it, but he's transitioned to fullback very well. So kind of just is a jack of all trades. And extremely, there's a play early on where the team is a really good player for Penn State, and he bucket stepped and got him turned and got him wedged out. It was a big run inside, and that doesn't just happen. Like, I give Coach Miller a lot of credit, Ben Miller, for getting.
Coach, what's it like the basketball game Saturday night?
I've never before. Like, 2 girls with a lot of family. Right, they just beat Penn State. Like, you know, I was 20 at one point in my life too, right? Like, what do you want to do? So Mark set out the question to the Illini Council, and literally my phone just started blowing up. Like, Coach, love to do it, want to do it, want to do it, want to do it. And it kind of just timed out perfect. I give credit to Cassie and her staff and the basketball and Brad to let that happen. It was an awesome moment for us. I know the players really enjoyed it, and just to interact with the fans. Like I've said all along, like the part that really enjoyed in this partnership when I came to Josh was like to build a sustainable, successful program for a long time, and every programs built for a long time. So to the highest level, and to be on stage to do it again, the more we enjoy partnership, that's good for everybody in the group.
What did your daughters think of it?
My youngest one, she thinks she's like a president-elect. She's given the one-hand wave at 2 years old. Kind of, as we all know, right? They're both always using